Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Open Discussions, a platform curated by Alliance Francaise, Dim Babane, and this is episode 1 of season 2, and we are still addressing socio-economic issues, current affairs, and everything in between. I'm your host, The Silent Writer, and today's focus is on youth unemployment, the cause and effects around it, and I'm not alone with a phenomenal and amazing panel made by Nati Gule and Petas Tole. But before we jump into the very first segment of today's talk, I'd love us to observe a moment of silence for all the turmoil, the current unrest, and basically all the lives that we have lost. Thank you, Messi Siabong. Beautiful people, now you can join the conversation about youth unemployment on our social media platforms at Alliance Francaise _Mbabane on Instagram and Alliance Francaise Dim Babane on Facebook. Without further ado, let me just introduce the beautiful and amazing, phenomenal panelists that we have. We are joined by Nati Gule, as I have alluded, a public speaker, writer, marketing consultant, globally accredited business mentor with Junior Achievement Eswatini. Now that is a biography. Alongside himself, we are joined by Petas Tole, a startup owner, social entrepreneur, public speaker, and facilitator / trainer. Beautiful people, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. That was a great introduction.
It's
thank
great
you so
to have
much.
you.
It's such an honor to be here today to
Yeah.
talk about, this topic is quite important. And right now, it's somehow I feel like you're putting us in the corner
Yeah.
because this is what everyone is talking about.
Yeah.
And the pressure that we're on to discuss this, I mean, it's both exciting and quite scary.
And quite
But
scary.
yeah, but we are going to do our best today to talk about this.
It's
Yeah.
the much needed pressure. Trust me, it's the
True.
much needed pressure. Now, reading your biographies, your biographies spill over to the next page and the other page and the other page. Let's talk about that for a start. How did you guys get here, and how are you still standing, Mr. G?
First of all, I'd just like to say hello to those watching at home, watching in the offices, watching in their cars, watching on their phones, wherever you are. It's such an honor to be on your platform today, Open Discussion. I like the word open discussion because it means we can be open. We can share our honest opinions of the topic today.
Yeah.
Not too much based on theory only. Also just share our practical experiences. And something that we hope as the panelists will definitely help the person at home.
Yeah.
Because once you're having practical discussions, at least you're looking at practical solutions as well.
Indeed.
So yeah, I'm excited. Like my fellow panelist has said, it's going to be interesting because this is a very sensitive topic.
Yeah.
In the sense that when you look at the fact that you've got 70% of Eswatini's population being the youth,
Yeah.
and definitely they are watching this with open ears and wondering, do we really have their interest at heart
Yeah,
when
yeah.
we're going to be discussing
Oh,
this?
it's only lip service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are we going to be able to sort of connect with them?
Yeah.
Because there have been a lot of these discussions, and young people sometimes feel left out when they listen to them to say, but they're not really addressing the real issue here.
Yeah.
The real
Yeah.
issue is A, B, C, D. So I'm hoping you as the moderator will be able to dig as much as you can from us,
Yeah.
and we'll try our best to answer as honestly as we can.
As honestly as you can. And starting it off, we just want you guys to be, since you're already on the spotlight, we'd love to prop you guys or make you even more vulnerable as to you guys getting to share your experiences in the economic world, the ones that you've had internationally and locally, making contrast of that, and how you are still sustaining yourselves with all the pressures that come in the economic world.
All right. I would like to take you back to when I was 16. When I was 16, I earned my first 350 emalangeni in
Okay.
paper.
Yeah.
Previously, prior to that, I used to sell vegetables for my grandmother. That is how you learn skills. Skills is
Yeah.
what I'll talk about a lot today.
Yeah.
But that experience that I got from my grandmother that experience that I got from a youth organization where I earned my first 350, I was actually doing Form 2 at the time.
Yeah.
Employment. But we'll get to that later on. I just wanted to take you back to that.
Yeah.
So over the years, you're talking about our bios being like 3 pages or more. It's because we've been working. It's because we have vision. It's because we want to achieve a lot in life.
Yeah.
And I'm not a complainer. I don't complain.
Yeah.
I go out there and do what needs to be done.
Indeed.
In order for me to achieve my vision and my purpose.
Yeah.
But I don't want to steal a lot from what I'll talk about later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've worked with entrepreneurs in the country. I've been to Mandela Washington Fellowship, which took me to the US to study on social entrepreneurship. And I came back and I already had businesses. I've failed so many times in business.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop me and it doesn't make me want to complain, because why should I complain? Why not? Why shouldn't I fix what's wrong?
Indeed.
And continue with what I can control, I can actually do. So yeah, over the years I've worked with obviously Bonati Gule and others in the country. We equip each other, we work with each other, we are each other's accountability partners.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the bio grows and grows, and then we're able to then mentor other people. So today I think I'm the right person to be here because I can talk from experience.
Can I join the pact of accountability partners?
Obviously, you can.
Any
anytime.
joining fee or
Nah, it's free.
Mr. G, how did you get to the place that you are at today, and how are you still standing at this place?
We did discuss this on Saturday night briefly. If you didn't join, I did share my journey starting off. Her journey starts off at 16 years.
Yeah.
My journey starts off at about 9 years old.
All right.
When after school I'd go to the Mbabane library while everybody was playing bikes and everything or soccer. I would be in the library from 1 p.m. up until the library closes. So I did that until I was in my teenage years, which was 15 years old. And the reason I'm sharing this is because for you as a young person, Bertha spoke about skills.
Yeah.
I was getting an input into what would then create a foundation of the person I am today.
Yeah.
And I then became a writer.
All right.
Because you cannot become a writer if you've not read.
If you don't read.
Yeah. So from reading 3 books a day, 3 books a week,
All right.
from the age of 9 up until the age of 15, basically you form a lot of input, and then you can have a position to have an output. Ne? So yeah, and then that's where the journey basically began. I had a love to then want to share with the world and express myself using those skills that I had gained.
Yeah.
And continuing to grow up, I continued to sort of self-develop, personal development, a lot of personal development.
All right.
Not only tertiary work, because education is not only tertiary. A lot of self-education,
Yeah.
guided alongside my dream.
Yeah.
So I had that dream to say, you know what, I really want to one day work for the newspaper. But to get there, I there was a lot of self-teaching, going to borrow books, understanding how what it takes to become a journalist, without actually being at UNISWA and learning journalism. So I wrote my first story without having actually been to UNISWA,
All right.
but I had
Still in your
self-taught.
teens.
Yeah, still in my teens, but I had self-taught myself.
Okay.
And then later on, I was able to study formally. But basically, that is what we're going to be discussing. Just that drive and that being able to focus from a very early age. We're talking about the youth here, and this is a very precious age that you are in if you're a young person. And it is very important that you do not miss your blessing or your moment of peak. Because right now you've got the energy, you've got the innovation, you've got the foresight, you've got so many things as a young person.
Yeah.
So you should not miss out on the journey while doing other things. You know, there's a famous song that I always reference when I do motivational speaking that says, siyolala ekuseni asiyinzawo.
Okay.
And basically that says, and in English, we will sleep in the morning. We will sleep in the morning. We are not going anywhere.
I was waiting for that direct translation. It always gets to us.
which basically means you'll find a young person singing that song, and they're in a nightclub, and I always say, take that thing conversely and say uyolala ekuseni and you're studying. Take that and say uyolala ekuseni and you're actually reading a self-motivational book. Uyolala ekuseni, you're watching Alliance Francaise live open discussions. You're actually putting an input that will then go into this biography that you're talking about. And you can then now also sit here on a panel and share experiences, because nathi besingalali ekuseni, but we're actually putting an input to get us to where we are.
To where you are today. And as you heard, ladies and gentlemen, watch Alliance Francaise. Be sure to subscribe as well. Now, Betha, he speaks about being in a place whereby he consumes a lot of content, which is very productive and forms the output that he's giving today. And you spoke about having a vision prior to getting to that vision. And your favorite quote is start with the end in mind. I really love that. Why is it so important to start with the end in mind? Why is it so important to have a vision instead of I'll see how, actually, I'll cross the bridge when I get there?
When you leave home, you were coming here, right? You knew where you were going.
Indeed.
You began with the end in mind, right?
All right.
It's as simple as that.
Okay.
If you just leave and you've got no idea where you're going,
you won't get there.
Yeah, you won't even come back because you've got no idea what you're doing with your life. So it's as simple as that. You need to know where you're going for you to be able to then start and then have a vision. So I have a program that is called Begin Your Dreams.
All right.
So what happens is we're teaching young people how to draft your vision board. So we try to find your purpose. We look at your current situation. What is your current situation like? What is it that you want to achieve? And then you list all your dreams, even if they're like 200. List everything that you want, and then you prioritize what is it that comes first. And then from there, you'll be able to then draft a roadmap to where you want to go. Where do you want to be next month, next week, next year, 2 years, 5 years? You can make it, up to 60 because I'm in retirement. You have to plan for that while you're still young.
While you're still here.
So once you are able to do that, you have a clean path that shows you where you want to go. If you want to go to university, it's there in your plans. You want to go to university. I went to university and graduated 10 years after I finished high school. I wanted to go there immediately after high school, but life happens. I went there and graduated 10 years later. Where were my peers then? There's peer pressure, and people are moving on with their lives, etc., etc. But I wasn't home sleeping and waiting for the degree to fall on my lap.
We'll get to that very soon, because we live in a digital era. We live in the new microwave era whereby nothing is possible without a degree. But your life was still in motion even before you graduated. But let me just go back to Nati. She speaks about peer pressure. How do you survive the pressure amongst your peers and align yourself with your peak? You spoke about aligning yourself with the 4 peak. But before we get to how do you align yourself with the 4 peak, what is the 4 peak exactly?
Basically, it's important to have purpose. It's important to you have career guidance, and you must listen, not just hear. You must absorb whatever is being taught at school, so that these things they plant seeds that can grow into something big. And to go back to your question, how do you move away from peer pressure? I grew up in Situashini. It's a hood. It's a township. It's the lifestyle there allows for you to wake up and just chill with your friends and walk around and crack jokes all day and go back to the house and feel like you've had the best day of your life.
Until you become the joke.
But like I was saying, I first and foremost, I I had to divorce myself
All
from that crowd. That is the first way that you sort of avoid peer pressure. You first alienate yourself from the peers,
Okay. All right.
unfortunately, so that you have no pressure. That's
Fun.
that is one trick that I use. So by the time I'd come back at 5 o'clock, they were already off the streets, and
Okay.
I was just going home to study and do my homework. And if I was exposed to my peers and they were asking me, why am I not dating? Why am I not moving in with the cool crowd? Why am I not smoking yet? And so on and so forth. It's all about identification. Who are you? Who am I? And it's all about also just opposing everything that you've heard, listened to, and you've looked at the pros and cons. Is it really cool to smoke? Is it really cool to drink? And you're looking at all these people that are so-called role models, and you study their lifestyle. You look at their DNA, and you find that most of them are not really sitting in a nightclub during the day. They're not really standing somewhere with a cigarette. And you start saying to yourself, perhaps smoking isn't so cool. Perhaps taking care of yourself and having a healthy lifestyle is cooler, and will lead to your health will be your wealth. You know, and then once you start asking yourself those questions and giving yourself the right answers, you are then able to sort of have more confidence on the decisions that you take when you alienate yourself and take a certain journey. And one thing you must know, the journey that you take away from your peers might seem lonely, but it is the one that usually has the biggest reward. And there's that famous quote that the cave you fear the most has the biggest treasure. And that the crowded room is the one where there's the easy task and so on and so forth. So you don't want to be that. You look at the DNA of all the successful people. They are all sort of on their personal journeys. They are all on continuous development, personal development. And once you're comfortable and you've observed that, even from your teachers at school, once you're satisfied and you've looked at it and said, you know what, this is what I want to be. And you're able to then, there is no peer pressure that can come that can make you crumble. So it's all about foundation. That foundation is built by absorbing the right things, filtering out the negative and only absorbing the positive.
And just like what Robert Frost said, one of the greatest poets, take the road less traveled. Now, Bertha, what was that road for you before enrolling into a formal institution or tertiary education? What was the road for you?
I was riding with the horses.
Yeah.
Right. So I knew what I wanted in life.
Yeah.
Part of which is I wanted to write. I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to start my marketing agency.
Yeah.
Those are the things I wanted from when I was like 16. So I journal a lot.
Yeah.
So even now I come across those notebooks and I see my dream was always clear. This is what I wanted. Fine, I didn't go to study marketing.
Yeah.
But I was there. I was in sales. I was finding jobs in receptionist. And you know, other people were like, but you want marketing. Why are you in reception? I'm like, you learn a lot of things because I was reading books, the videos I was watching, the movies I was watching. It's not your normal rom-coms,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, but it is rom-coms. just had to get the clarification. No,
okay,
all right,
so I was watching movies that motivate you, movies that teach me things. I was analyzing opera. I was very selective of what I was listening to and what I was watching.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to develop myself. I knew that whenever I'm going to interviews, because I would take interviews anyway, I would see a job and I'll be like, okay, so right now I'm in a gap because maybe the contract I had somewhere else was like 6 months. So there's a gap. I would apply and go to the interview. It doesn't matter whether I get the job or not.
Yeah.
But I go to the interview having learned from the previous interview, then I improve myself. Oh, the previous, they asked me to tell them about myself and I froze. The next one, I'm going to tell them about myself.
Yeah.
And then you'll find another hiccup and then you learn from that. So that is how I kept going. I went on to do presentations, simple things like, at church when they ask you to be an MC. Take that as an opportunity for you to improve on your public speaking. You work on it. You don't just sleep and wake up and go there.
Yeah.
You work on your skills.
Don't try to be me. No, I'm joking.
No, I'll benchmark with you and say I want to be better than I want to be better than him.
Yeah.
Hence, I'm saying I was riding with the horses.
All
I
right.
was out there. I was asking CEOs. I'm good with networking.
All right.
So I would come even here at Alliance Defenses. I was here. I will whenever there are events, I would come here and scan the room.
Yeah.
Look at who is here and then go to them and ask them what is it that they're doing, how did they get there, only to find they are reading books, they are attending workshops, and they network. So that is how I got by in those years whereby I was waiting to get to university. And the other thing is learn to talk. Learn to talk with other people. Do not be afraid. I think most of the time people are operating from fear, not out of it. Because just if you're scared of something, jump on that fear. So people are scared to talk. So when you are talking with people, then they are able to refer you to other people. So it is a stepping stone. So I was out there, I was talking. So I got those opportunities. And then when I started businesses, it became easier. Someone would say, go to Natikule because Natikule has done this. How do I get that reference? Through talking. So I get to be, we're talking about unemployment, right?
Yeah.
So I
And
get
you're still
to
in
get
track,
a
by the way.
job.
You're still on track.
Yeah. I get jobs through what? Talking. You wouldn't think of that because you want to submit a CV.
Yeah.
But no, let me speak to you, silent writer, and then I'll tell you, what, I like writing. You'll tell me, oh no, before you get to a newspaper, why don't you write for my blog? Then you improve on your skills like that before you get into a newspaper.
Indeed. So with all the networking, with all the conversations that you've had, just be real with us. Has anyone ever said, I got to where I am because of voodoo?
No, I've never come across that.
So
Have you?
does that imply that there's no voodoo?
Oh, well, obviously we're being open. This is an open discussion. And you will overhear something like that. Or you will hear people telling you of a shortcut. But my favorite quote, and this is my own quote, it says, a shortcut is the quickest way back to the longest route.
Indeed.
Indeed. So when you talk to people, and we were actually having this discussion yesterday, there was this successful gentleman who drives a huge car, and he was saying, you know what, he was told about voodoo and how it's quick and stuff, and but he was also told about how the repercussions are for it, and he said I'm not into it. I'd rather take the hard work route. And he says, look at me today, I've got so many properties and I've got so many things I've taken, and I do not own a certain bone thrower somewhere, and I can have a peaceful sleep at night.
Indeed.
So yeah.
Speaking of taking the longer route, or the route that looks like it is hard work, let us get into today's talk, which is work, which is employment and unemployment. How exactly would you define unemployment?
Unemployment is basically the lack of jobs. If I say I'm unemployed, it means I'm looking for a job, and I'm looking for a way to be economically active. And if I'm unemployed, it means that I do not have any finances to be able to cater for my normal day-to-day life. That means I am not economically able to buy and actually get food and stuff like that. And you are dependent. And you're basically unemployed, and being economically inactive is basically the ages, like you're under 18 years old, who are still not into the job market, Those are economically inactive. They are not exactly unemployed. They are still not ready to look for jobs
be in the economy.
Yes, but there are also people who are economically inactive because they are not pursuing jobs.
Okay.
Yeah, and it is a very small fraction, though. We're actually having this discussion with Bertha earlier to say, funny enough, we talk about this topic of unemployment, and you do discover that over the years, after a number of people have applied for jobs, they then tend to have a subconsciousness towards job seeking.
Okay.
And once they have that fear of rejection, they stop looking for jobs. And once they're around their peers, and their peers say, "Oh, you know what? At government, they never advertise jobs." And then now it becomes a norm, and a lot of young people now grow up saying, no, you know what? Fine, I've graduated. I won't go out and apply because they won't hire me anyway. They'll hire their friends, they'll hire their relatives, they'll hire their girlfriends, you know, and that creates a sort of an economic inactivity, even though the person is in a space to be looking for a job. However, it is very important, like Bertha was saying, to keep trying, to keep throwing out as many as you can, because with every attempt you get better. With every attempt that you throw out, with every CV that you throw out, you get to understand, oh, okay, I'll do this better next time. I'll do this better next time. And we're also joking about, not actually joking, we're actually discussing this with Bertha to say, like there's 18 ministries or so in the country. How many young people can say, I have woken up with my CV and filed in every ministry, left it at the reception? It goes back again to the subconsciousness to say you're already defeated before you even try. Because in the same economy that we are saying there are no jobs, as we're sitting here right now, somebody is being interviewed. As we're sitting here right now, somebody is being hired. And somebody is being hired by people they don't know. And somebody is being hired by people they are not related to in any way, but only being hired because of the skill sets that they've produced during the interview. They're being hired by the passion they've shown during the interview. And also they're being hired also by the experience that they have gained through volunteering, as Bertha has said. They've taken up the odd jobs, the small, tiny jobs that nobody would have loved. But when this bigger sort of advertisement comes out, and Bertha says, no, you know what, I have been an office administrator before. They are able to then say, okay, you know what, we can take you on, even though it was on a volunteering basis. And Bertha spoke about churches. I love churches because they really do give you that opportunity to serve. And they also give you a good reference, because I know personally from my church, when some people go looking for jobs, they get a reference letter from the church. And you can imagine getting a reference letter from a church. You appear as an honest person. So volunteering, serving is a very good way to escape this economic inactivity. And also, just to conclude on your question, there's also another aspect to your question of economic inactivity. There's the part of, is Eswatini's economy active enough to absorb? Does it have enough jobs to take on the youth? There's this conversation that says we've got so many colleges opening up, so many universities, but where are all these people going to be hired?
Sorry to interject there. I think let us get to that one, because now that is more in depth. Let us get to that one on the second link. But now let us just scrape off the surface as to what exactly is youth unemployment, because for the longest time we now have the misconception that being unemployed means you're not employed by government or by a franchise or by a respected or prominent company, or else even if you have a good looking cash flow, you're still under those who are unemployed. But maybe Bertha, you can highlight on that perspective as to what exactly is the cause of unemployment, and do I really need to be under the unemployed or rather under unemployed category because I'm not working for someone, where else my cash flow is smoothly flowing?
All right. Thank you for the question. Before I get onto the cash flow and employment itself, I want to explain what unemployment is according to my understanding.
All right.
So unemployment occurs when people are without work while actively searching for employment and willing to work. I want us to focus a lot on the word actively.
All right.
Actively mean in a deliberate or positive way, energetically or vigorously.
Yeah.
So this means, I can actually picture this person who is actively searching for employment out there. Then if they can't find that employment, then we can classify that person as being unemployed.
All right.
So now someone who is sitting at home, not actively searching for employment, do we call that person unemployed? I don't know. Maybe Nati can answer that one. But it's someone who is actively searching for work. Now, there are a lot of causes of why people are unemployed.
Okay.
One of which, looking at the African setup, we have a generational input to say that we have a lot of the Gen Z generation who are very active, who are very, very volatile. They look at things differently than all the other generations.
Yeah.
So if you can compare that to Japan, where they have a lot of the older generation than Gen Z, then you can see that we have different problems as continents. But looking at Africa, then we have this group of people who are a lot. Nati spoke of the statistics and everything.
Yeah.
So those are the people who are looking for the jobs, either actively or not. But we have a lot of Gen Z people. Now I'm going to just speak of 6 of the other causes outside of just the fact that we have a huge group of Gen Z people. We have inadequate skills. That is number 1. Then we have got lack of experience. We've got the mismatch between education, training, and job skills. And number 4, we've got lack of interest in entrepreneurship. That's where your cash flow issue was talking about. I'll get to that. And then number 5 and 6, we've got labor and demand supply mismatch. And the slow growth in economies and jobs and etc. So that applies to the government or the country where you are at. But just look at the top 4. The top 4 talk to us as a human being. It talks to you as a young person. So in as much as we are blaming other people why or sectors why we don't have employment, but the top 4 reasons of why there's unemployment, youth unemployment in Africa is because of you and me. We are our worst enemies. Why? Because we are not improving on our skills. We go to university, government pays for you to go to university, or you find other means. You get your certificate. You go to apply for a job. You write one CV. You make 20 copies. You go distribute the CV. What does it say about you? You don't even check what that company is looking for. You don't check what skills they want. You just have a basic CV, DSA or Madam, and you go drop it off. What does it say about you? Here's what you need to do differently. You need to invest in identifying where you want to work. That's number 1. What is it that you want to do? You have a certificate, but without the skills or without you putting in time to understand where you are employed, where you want to be employed, it's useless. That is why you find people complaining. I've been applying. I've been sending CVs to 200 companies. It's one and the same CV. I've had conversations with HR managers, and they will tell you, we know a basic CV. We know when someone hasn't given themselves time to look into the company. So you are not going to get an interview, definitely, because you haven't done much. You haven't gone out of your comfort zone to actively search for that job. You just went and submitted CVs and that was it. And the other thing is, okay, fine. As you are waiting to get employed or to get called to an interview, what else are you doing to improve your skills? As you can see, that was number 1, inadequate skills. your certificate alone, that's education. Yes, it's putting you one step closer, but without skills, employers are looking for skills. I'm an employer. When I am doing interviews, I'm looking for skills.
Yeah.
If you do not have skills, all you did was you have a certificate that you got 3 years ago. 3 years,
You haven't been working
you
on that.
haven't done anything else. You haven't done any online course.
Yeah.
You haven't volunteered anywhere.
Yeah.
How are you going to be employed? You are not employable because you haven't gone out of your comfort zone to improve yourself. Personal
Yeah.
development, as Nati has been talking about. You need to improve yourself. Be deliberate. Be intentional about it. Ace for the job that you want. And do everything you can to get that job.
Yeah.
So to
Yeah.
get that job, you need to improve your skills.
Yeah, I'd love to add. I really love to add on
Please
to
go
that.
on.
There's a survey that we did last year. 6 African countries were part of it. It was called the Youth Employment in the African Private Sector. Youth Employment in the African Private Sector survey. So basically, they just wanted to find out perceptions and views of how young people perceive employment as well as entrepreneurship around Africa.
Yeah.
And Eswatini was one of the countries that participated. And thankfully, I was also a part of those that participated with contributing in terms of my input. And interestingly enough, just to back Bertha's contribution there, 93% of the youth believe that they need to update their current education and skills to adapt to the labor market. 93% of youth need to update their current education and skills to adapt to the current labor market. What does that say? It says the labor market is evolving.
Yeah.
As we're sitting here, there's new trends that are coming
Indeed.
in. And she's
Yeah.
speaking about a CV being 3 years old. You can't be complaining about the economic inactivity or lack of opportunities in the economy
Yeah.
while you're not also trying to adapt quickly with the way things are evolving. We're talking now fourth industrial revolution.
Yeah.
You've got websites now that are called Coursera, for example,
Yeah.
that offer free courses. You can get a course there within 3 weeks. You could have quickly adapted into digital marketing. You could have quickly adapted into learning how to be an analytical thinker, critical thinker, and so on and so forth, psychology. Some of the key skills, that were highlighted in that survey was of course analytical and quantitative thinking,
Yeah.
Right.
like and flexibility and adaptability,
Yeah.
communication skills. Leadership and responsibility, creativity and innovation, networking and team building, data skills and business knowledge, as well as languages. And these seem like I was born with all these skills.
Yeah.
I am a leader and responsibility, but you also have something that backs your skills training.
Yes.
Because you can't just say, no, I am a team leader. What are your leadership principles? What are your guiding ethos in terms of leadership? And when you go into an interview, you have to be able to quote some of these things. Do you understand what we talk about when we talk about management? Do you know what King 3, King 4 is all about? This is corporate governance.
Yeah.
You're going into a corporate, but you don't understand the role of a manager. You don't understand the role of a CEO, but you want to be a front desk officer. But if you go into that interview and you tell them, you know what, this morning I was just reading the King 4 report, and I understand corporate governance, and I understand what each and every one of your role here is. I know I'm just going to be answering the phone, but I'll be able to direct people correctly to the different places.
The conversations I have are now more enriched.
They're-
Now,
Yeah.
now
And
speaking-
it's a game changer.
it is.
It's a game changer, and it enhances your opportunities of being employed.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And-
You
and-
had a question?
Please,
So-
Eddie.
It's an open
It's an
discussion.
open
It's an open
discussion.
discussion.
Now,
And if it wasn't for time, I tell you, I'd listen to you guys the
Go
whole
on
day.
the whole day. I
Yeah.
know, right? You were speaking about cash flows and someone having a business, young people. So you're taking all the skills that Nati is talking about. You can also go onto the Yali website. They also have entrepreneurship and personal development skills.
All right.
So now you are unemployed, right? You can't find a job or get a placement. Then you start a business. When you start a business, you need to be invested in the business. You need to learn what social entrepreneurship is, what entrepreneurship is, what a business is, you know. And once you get that, you are solving number 4, which says young people lack interest in entrepreneurship. And in all honesty, we do. We rely on hearsay. So if Nati is failed with NAMPOD, for example, Nati will tell me that, at NAMPOD, this is what and what happened. I believe it, and I stop because of what we spoke about earlier on. But what I'm saying is we need to be invested in finding out. We've got a lot of bodies in the country that help young people. We've got NAMPOD, we've got Youth Enterprise Fund, we've got the Junior Achievement, Science
which we are going to be talking about as well today. But for all the amazing avenues that we have in the country, we are just going to edit when we wrap up on our last segment. We're also going to leave the contacts on our pages, beautiful people, so you can do a follow-up. Now, Nati, can I take you briefly back to when you spoke about economic inactivity, or rather economic activity? Can you break it down into maybe 2 segments as to what exactly are we looking at when we're speaking about economic activity?
Yeah, I was saying your question can be answered in 2 ways. The most popular one of answering economic inactivity is to say I am not able to be active in the economy because of maybe my age, or I am indispensed. You are not actively seeking employment, as Beta has said, in terms of a person who is unemployed. Or you are now past the employment age, or past the self-employment age. If there's anything like that. And then there's the other interesting aspect to it, the second one, which is the really practical one. Does the environment offer an activity for you to be economically or financially playing a role in that economy? You are a young person, you are actively seeking employment, but are there any economic opportunities for you to get employed? So you're a young person, for example, you are into modeling. You're a young person, you're into poetry. Does the country you are in embrace poetry? Do they embrace art as a profession that they would be willing to pay the same amount of money that a poet would be paid in France, for example, a poet would be paid in South Africa? And you find a lot of frustration then comes to young people when they pursue their dreams, they pursue this modeling dream, and they get paid, say, 150 emalangeni. And they get a bit discouraged to say, how? Better said, I must go follow my dream. And
I'm following my dreams.
I'm following my dreams, but I'm still not contributing to the economy, and I'm still not really, I'm still unemployed, basically.
And above it all, I'm not even recognized. I think that's what has been suppressing the youth more than anything else. And unfortunately, there's a document called the Eswatini National Youth Policy, a 2020 document. It has a section where it talks about all the ministries being tasked to sort of embrace the youth and also open up and sort of give them those opportunities. And while it's just a document, there also needs to be a conversation around now practically also creating a sort of a situation whereby these young people can be empowered on all these sectors. But for example, you've seen corporates in Eswatini hiring strictly young people. They believe in young people. There's certain corporates that believe in young people. But that's a small percentage. Can we now look at a different conversation that says, yes, government, what are you doing as government to now make that even
broader policy to say, better today you've started your company.
Yeah.
As you've just signed off your documents, I would like you to have at least 20%
Yes.
as a start to have them as full-time employees and 35 and under.
Indeed.
To sort of address the issue of youth unemployment.
unemployment.
Because the government has said there's 70% of young people in the country. If there's 70%, then policies should now be all towards creating employment for those young people.
Indeed.
So we're meeting each other halfway, which goes back to the economic inactivity. You are now changing the economy and making it active for the youth to participate. Yes.
Now, with what you've seen, Beth, corporates that hire specifically, or rather that are big on hiring young people, have you maybe seen a gender imbalance on that?
Okay. I think a lot of corporates now they're embracing gender. They are actively out there making sure that there's a gender balance. So you would find that they're looking for 50-50, 60-40.
All right.
So there is a good representation of females within that sector. But here's where the issue is. And this is a conversation I actually had yesterday with one of the corporates who are doing what Nati was talking about. They have a certain percentage of young people that they take in every single year.
Oh, fantastic.
But the problem is they are not finding the skills. They have people have the education, they've got the certificates, but they can't find the skills or the willingness for people, for young people who want to come in and learn.
Yeah.
I want to quote what Nati. I want to quote you, my fellow panelists.
Yeah.
Yesterday, you wrote something on the newspaper. You said, to put the world in order, we must first put the nation in order. To put the nation in order, we must put the family in order.
Yeah.
To put the family in order, we must cultivate our personal life. And to do that, we must first set our hearts right. So yes, we have the policies, 20%, and the companies are actively seeking and looking for these young people to come join the company.
Yeah.
So what happens if all the companies are doing that and you find that the 70%, only 20% show up?
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
That's a huge problem. Now, Nati, how do we go and ascend the hierarchy of fixing the country, but first fixing the family, looking at also the effects of youth unemployment, not only on national level, but on community level, regional level, and all the way up? How do we start the conversation at home? How do we open the discussions at home?
Oh, fantastic! I'm actually encouraged that Eswatini is already embracing something that is called competency-based education.
Okay.
Whereby now you're finding children that they're learning skills that are now sort of more relevant to real life. You're no longer learning about the different parts of a grasshopper only.
Yeah.
I was reading a book for a grade 4 student, and there the homework was saying, if I give you 10 emalangeni and you go to the shop to buy milk that is 6 emalangeni 50 cents, how much is your change?
Yeah.
So I was reading that and I was thinking to myself, oh, that's practical.
Yeah.
So you're teaching a 9-year-old to be able to understand how much change is for 10 emalangeni. And that is how the conversation is starting. Because if I'm not doing it to my child and teaching my child how to break down change, at least the government is coming on board to say, we will also do our part. We will teach children the practical examples. And then you've got, I spoke earlier briefly about Junior Achievement Eswatini. They go into Form 2s, Form 4s in the schools. And they're also teaching them financial literacy to understand what money is, to understand what business is, to understand what savings are. So from an early age, you have a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, already understands how to register a company, already understands what tax is, already understands what it is like practically to go and look for a job and be active, as Peter was saying. And they've now pushed that onto Standard 5s, grade 7 as of this year, which is also exciting because again, the more you plant that seed onto that soil of those grade 7s, you're now creating the conversation from an early age, and And obviously, what you're going to then see, that conversation will then go back home. And the children will have that conversation with their parents, and the children will support. The parents will support the children in terms of pursuing their entrepreneurship or their self-employment aspirations, and that is a key role because the family has a huge role to play in towards the job seeking and or the self-employment aspirations of their children. Are we having, as parents, conversations with our children to ask, okay, you have not found a job in a year, let us talk. Where can we help you in terms of identifying the skills gap? What is missing? Are you lacking data to go online, to be able to go onto Coursera, to be able to update your skill set in order to be competitive? I as a parent, am I not playing my role and also paying for you to be able to go for driving lessons? Because now you find that you've got all the skills, you get to the interview, you don't have a driver's license. You are out.
That's another stumbling block. But before we go to an ad break, I just I appreciate and acknowledge the example that you've brought in as to how we bridge the gap between family issues, the parents and the children. But now, before we go to an ad break, maybe I can get your inputs, both of you respectively, as to how do we bridge the gap between the generation that is active and the economy, or rather the government that has not provided a field of economic activity. How do we actually convince them that now modeling can be a career?
Okay, speaking of art, actually, I am a former model myself.
Okay. Goes without saying.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of the arts industry, I think it's quite difficult, but it can be easy. We need to do a lot of research. We need to try to understand where they are coming from, the sectors, government sectors, etc. Understand which point they're coming from, and try to come up with solutions that are going to work for them, but have it work for you. I don't know if that makes sense. In business, we always say, look at the problem and then find a solution. Same thing is going to apply this side as well. Look at what they are looking for. I've had conversations with the CEO of Arts and Culture. I know exactly what they are looking for. It's just that some of the artists, or say the art industry, they are not really actively trying to understand what they are looking for, but they are coming with what they want. So you find that there is a clash. So if you try and engage in a conversation, engage in trying to seek for a solution and work together, I'm sure that gap will be filled. Because
we all need the help, but let me initiate the conversation by finding out what the next person needs before I extend my request.
And
Nati,
bring the solution.
Any addition on that one?
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually reading the National Youth Policy here. Actually, reading is a very, very important thing. This is a free document that you can get online as well as a young person. But what I like is that government is sort of putting themselves in the spot, and they're using the word shall. Shall means it will happen. So I'll just read you here. It says, Eswatini National Youth Council and Youth Enterprise Fund shall advocate for the provision of diverse economic empowerment opportunities, including volunteerism, apprenticeships to all young people. Shall. Okay, so this is a commitment to say from 2020 moving forward, we have seen the problem, we've identified it, we've heard your cries, and we have come up with this policy, and we are saying we shall now move towards implementing certain programs that will address your cries. The other one says Eswatini National Youth Council and the Youth Fund shall coordinate the provision of high-quality entrepreneurship and innovation education, going back to arts, innovation education to out-of-school youth in collaboration with civil society institutions. So there is that willingness to now sort of change and really start addressing this issue of the 70%, and which almost more than almost 47% of them are unemployed youth. And now government is saying, no, we have identified the problems, and we are saying we would like to do something. We are willing to do something. And also obviously you would like to see the corporate private sector coming in on that as well.
Yeah. That is wonderful and adequately said. Ladies and gentlemen, as we take an ad break, stay tuned, stay tuned, and when we come back, we are looking at the business opportunities which you and all the young people out there can pursue. Let's take a sip, shall we? Welcome back to the ad break. You are still tuned to Open Discussions with the amazing panel made by Betha Sitole and Nati Kule. Beautiful people, we're still unpacking and addressing the socio-economic challenges faced around youth unemployment. Now, we've spoken about a lot of problems, a lot of the causes. What are the solutions that maybe young people can be given with regards to youth unemployment? What are the solutions?
All right, I'll take that because I am speaking from a personal level as an individual, and then Nati will take it up to the next level. I think a young person out there really should be intentional about what they want. And for you to be intentional about what you want, you need to know your purpose. You need to know what drives you. You need to know what you want.
Yeah.
So the first step is to do a vision board.
Okay.
Write a vision board. What is it that you want? And then from there, you'll be able to then know what to do next. Then you have to improve your skills because you know where you want to go, how you want to achieve that. And from there, you need to also just talk about money. I think that's the other part we forgot to mention.
Yeah.
You need to understand the value of lilangen, one lilangen. Because, simple example, this lady from Lavumisa had 30 emalangeni.
Yeah.
But that 30 emalangeni identified the problem because she saw Guti after 5 p.m. the shops close, yet there are truck drivers who pass by and they're always looking for food. And she realized if I can sell boiled eggs, probably they're going to buy. So she took 30 emalangeni, bought a tray of eggs, boiled them, and went to sell those eggs. And she made 60. She sold them for 2 emalangeni each. Right now, she's running a profitable business and she has employees. So she created employment out of 30 emalangeni. So you need to understand the value of lilangen. What can it do for you? So once you have your vision and your plan, what you need to do, then you start looking into the money. You look at your budget. You cut out what is unnecessary. You substitute your data with the content that you use to consume. Consume content that is in line with what you want to achieve. Cut off those friends that are wasting your time because now you know where you want to go. It's going to be a lonely journey for a couple of years, but after that, it will be productive. You'll get to where you want to go, and overall you'll be employed. You'll be making money either in a business or either employed.
All right.
So everything you do, you need to take seriously and be intentional about it.
Indeed. And Mr. Nati, she speaks about this testimonial of a lady who starts a business from 30 emalangeni. Now, what if you don't even have the 30 emalangeni? There's a quote that say, use what you have, start where you are. But what if where you are, it's pretty much like a desert? What do you do at a place like that? You don't have any capital.
It's always about perspective.
Okay.
At the end of the day, young people have more capital than anyone older than 35. And their biggest capital is their age and their energy and their innovation and their creativity. They are able to see things that older people cannot see, and which is why a lot of when you look around the world, even the political landscape, you're finding a lot of young prime ministers that are being taken up in in England, they had a very young prime minister not so long ago. Presidents are becoming younger and younger with each year, and that just goes to show that you're finding now people are sort of gravitating towards understanding that the youth understand technology easier, and they're more open-minded, and they're able to adapt quickly to new innovations, and they're able to share those new innovations with other people. And that is a massive resource that a lot of companies are investing in. When it comes to hiring, even in sports, the soccer team I follow, for example, will never sign a footballer that is over 30 years old. They are looking for the younger because they believe that they can identify an opportunity on the pitch that maybe somebody over the age of 30 may not. They may have the experience, but they no longer have that energy to run as much and able to identify those gaps. So that is the first capital that you have as a young person. It's your age, and you need to guard that age very preciously. The Eswatini National Youth Council a CEO said a very great quote that I'll never forget. He said, in order for young people to achieve their goals, they need to be alive. And
That's the only thing.
And to be alive, it means to be healthy. It means to be off drugs, and it means to be continuously upgrading yourself, and to be disciplined towards the intentional goal that Bertha spoke about. And I'm sure people are listening. Some people are listening to this and saying, yeah, we've heard it. We've heard this so many times. But what I need right now is a job. What I need right now is I just want to start.
True.
You know, and unfortunately, all these journeys, they really do start where she says she started. They really start with the volunteering. They really start with the mundane jobs. I always make an example of a person who says, I don't like cleaning restrooms, for example. And I say, you know, if you start by cleaning restrooms, tomorrow you will be an owner of products that you can supply around the country, that clean restrooms, that supply the region, that clean restrooms. So do not say where I am is not a place, it's not a perfect job.
Perspective.
Take whatever job that you can, and it will take you somewhere. T.D. Jakes' father used to run a similar company, and later became an employer of many other people. Started as a cleaner, became opened a cleaning company. So these are and my own example. When I went into entrepreneurship, I didn't have for example, our Companies Act. They look for you to have an office before you can get a trading license. Instead of me saying, oh, okay, I don't have 6,000 emalangeni, which is roughly the kind of money you would need to have a decent office that can get you a health certificate, get you a trading license. Well. But I said to myself, but what do I have? I said, I've got a marketing skill. I offered that as barter. And traded it with somebody with an office to say, if I can do marketing for you for free, I can run your social media for free. I can set up your social media pages, run your social media pages for free. You give me the office space. We did a handshake, and I used what I had in order, and I was able to get a trading license through that. So young people must always look at what they have in their hand and move on from that.
And speaking from that perspective, I see the way you've been nodding. You have a ton to add on that, but can we have that addition in line with how exactly do you start? You know, because now we have the idea that run with what you have. But I have my age, I have my youthful energy, but what are the ethics of starting a business? Where do I start?
Okay, to add on what Natty was talking about.
Sure thing.
You know, it happens that you did not finish Form 5,
Okay.
you did not finish school, or you
Yeah.
didn't get an education at all.
Oh, yeah.
But the streets, home is education. I know a young lady who went into this big corporate where I was working in Czech,
Yeah.
and she asked them to clean. And they're like, no, we don't have a salary for you. She's like, it's fine. I just want to wake up every morning and go do something because I don't know how to write.
Yeah.
I haven't done that. I don't know how to speak English, but I just want to wake up every morning to do something. And they gave her a chance. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, it's fine. And then you'd find that the employees would give her money from time to time. Today, she has a degree. She went to Kasabenda and upgraded and tried to learn English and
Yeah.
writing skills. Today, from what? From cleaning. And she's still a cleaner today. She
Okay.
runs a business. So during the weekend, she started another business. So she's a good example that
Okay.
you actually, sometimes if your situation is different, you can take advantage of that and make it work for you because we're all not in the same path.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of business,
The ethics
then,
of starting a business.
yeah. When you start a business, we do not copy what your neighbor is doing.
Okay.
Do not copy your friends. Run a business because you've identified a problem and you want to solve that. Once you solve a problem, money will come to you because you're solving someone's problem
Okay.
and they're going to pay for it. So do not run a business because you are copying it from somebody else. A mistake I made was I wanted a marketing agency. I wasn't solving any problem. I wanted a marketing agency because it was my dream.
Yeah.
So when I started, my business failed in a year. I closed shop. I closed the office and went to work from home. That is when I started on the Yali network to learn how do you start a business, what is
Yeah.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Then I got to understand that I need to solve a problem. And when I went back I use a lot of paper. So I went to my drawing board and tried to understand the market because I wanted to be in marketing. So I wanted to find out where the gaps were. And the gaps were on social media. So I went on with social media. I was providing solutions for companies using social media.
Yeah.
So that is how I started my business. And then companies or people paid for that service because I'm solving a problem for them. So whenever you start a business, if my friend is selling cabbages, let me look that and check. It's okay. He doesn't have lettuce. Let me sell lettuce. People will start buying cabbages there, and they'll come buy lettuce from me, and so on and
And
so
that's
on
a
so
problem
forth.
solved.
Exactly.
Now, to that solution, Nati, let us put the financial literacy to it. The difficulty is when you haven't acquired that skill at a university or any formal education, you will have a problem as to how do you charge for that skill. How can you untangle that conundrum?
It's fantastic. At the end of the day, you've got 24 hours in a day, né?
Alright,
and
yeah.
and most of it is daylight. Eh?
Okay.
So the people you are interacting with, the people you're asking questions from about, is Cristiano Ronaldo better than Lionel Messi?
Yeah.
Or would you rather be sitting with somebody and asking them, how would I charge for a bit of lettuce?
All right.
And how much would I charge for spinach? You should not be, if you're going to go into entrepreneurship, you should be very inquisitive and you should be around the right people. If you're not around the right people, look for the right people to go out and ask them. You know, where you are is very critical to where you will be tomorrow.
All right.
So I always make the example of a nightclub. You're in a nightclub and the only thing that's blurting there is loud music.
Yeah.
And there's really not much networking and growth that is happening. And you're really wasting a lot of your time and you're not gaining any financial literacy, are you? But if you are using each of your time profitably and you're guarding your time valuably to say, okay, you know what, I'm just going to be intentional about this, going to find people who are going to help me. I've identified that I want to sell popcorn, but I want to understand how can I sell popcorn. But okay, that lady won't help me because she'll think I'm a competitor. Let me go to another town completely and ask a lady who sells popcorn in another town. Find out how much she prices. What are you doing? You're being intentional with your time, but you're also reinvesting into your business. And that's mentorship. That lady you're asking from is now mentoring you, and you're working now collaboratively When she comes up with a new ingredient of spices now, she'll call you and say, hey, I've got a new spice. You must also consider having it.
And that's education on its own.
Yeah, and we also spoke on Saturday.
Yeah.
This issue of people saying, yeah, but where am I going to meet a successful business person who's going to give me and mentor me?
Yeah.
You've got books now. You've got YouTube. 10 emalangeni, you get a YouTube bundle. You can sit for 1 gig, 1.5 gigs. You can watch as much mentorship as you want.
Yeah.
And what do you do then, silent writer? You type, how much do I charge for a bag of popcorn? And you find a 3-minute video. It will tell you you charge $1. And you can say to yourself, okay, $1 times 13.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, you keep on gaining those experiences. It's the same as sitting with a physical mentor. If you can't go online, because not everybody has access to the internet, you can always get a book. Grab a book. The National Library, it's free of charge to get into the National Library. There's books, there's sections on entrepreneurship. Go there, they'll teach you pricing. Grab a book, read about pricing. Mark Cuban, one of the richest guys in the world, says, I did nothing different. I only read books that people didn't want to read. And I became a billionaire.
Benchmarking from those people.
Yeah.
Now, you've heard it yourself, beautiful people. Get up, wake up, and be the change that you want to see. But you spoke about working with a lot of companies covering their media and online work. Do you predict greener pastures in the online space maybe 10, 20 years from now?
There's always an opportunity.
Yeah. There is always an opportunity. And I'm bringing this one up because when we had the fourth IR, we were really, or rather they were really getting cold feet about it, you know. But now when you come to understand that it does not really mean we have robots coming over and taking over what puts food on our table. So now the question is, how can we navigate around that? Because now it's no longer your traditional ways of doing things, your indigenous way of doing things, but now how do we navigate around the current era and going forward? You can also add in on that, Mr. G, as a marketing consultant as well.
All right. I think that is not a problem per se, but it is an opportunity without forgetting the traditional ways of doing things. So what we need to do as marketers is integrate both.
Yeah.
Where we are going, where we are coming from, and then we'll have our current. That applies even, about the COVID-19 situation.
Yeah.
It has changed a lot of things, but what do? We integrated the past and the future, and then we have how we are doing things now. You've got your Zoom, you've got everything else of how to hold meetings, how to do interviews, how we are now motivating. Previously we would have a crowd, right?
Yeah.
But here we are looking into cameras. So it's just changing, looking at the current situation and integrating both.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of COVID, it did also provide a list of businesses that are essential that young people can look into. We're talking about employment, but there's also something called self-employment, right?
Okay.
So if you're looking into going into self-employment, you ask yourself which businesses survived, were not closed down during the lockdowns, and those are viable businesses. You're looking at the food sector, the supermarkets. You're looking at obviously us as marketers who were still working during lockdown. So you're looking at that and saying, well, maybe I can get a skill there, and I can go on and self-employ myself. And you spoke about the 4IR. There's a lot of opportunities in there where a young person can really show up and show off, in the sense that you can go on and do online teaching. She has her degree and is saying, I've been home for 5 years, but no opportunities. Yes, we understand. But there are opportunities to go onto websites like privatetutor.com, and you can go and teach other people and get paid online via that. There's freelancing. You go online, you market your services, you freelance online. There's I had a whole list
A
here.
ton.
It's a
Ton. We'll definitely have to
You-
also broadcast his list on our pages
you've got-
and our YouTube channel as well.
You've got language translating, you've got social media management,
Reporting.
you've got a YouTube, every 1,000 views earns you money. You can sell products online. I'm excited about what young people are doing and the way that they've integrated technology into online selling. You find them on the WhatsApp statuses. They're selling so many products on the WhatsApp statuses and saying, give me 50%, I'll go buy for you, come back. And when you look at the post 35 years old, they are saying, but we have the products, but we don't know how to use that WhatsApp status. Let's integrate. Let's create employment. Employ me and I'll market for you. I can be the middleman. So there are opportunities there in terms of social media management for the already existing companies. I spoke about online tutoring. There's also websites. You can also do surveys, researches, and reviews. And then this one is an interesting one because Bertha was saying she has to write somewhere. There's something called a virtual assistant. A virtual assistant is whereby you can just say, you know what, I know you can't hire me, but I can work from wherever I am and just be your buzzer and call you and tell you your appointment is due in the next 30 minutes. And it's all about just exploring and finding a lot of opportunities that are out there. And like we keep on emphasizing since we started today is make use of your time.
Make use of your time.
Make good use of your time.
Indeed, and it is worth noting that the previous episode, or rather the previous season, which was season 1, we were looking at mental health. Now, someone might be so overwhelmed by this topic and from here chase money all his life. But maybe advice from you guys as to how do you juggle the priorities that you have in your lives and still are here looking phenomenal, looking amazing, and still keeping sane. How are you able to just sustain or rather juggle all the priorities and still live a healthy lifestyle?
Oprah said, you can have it all, but not all at once.
Okay.
That is how I am able to push every single day to say, you know what, this is what I have right now. Because of my vision, I can have everything else later and it's okay. I do a lot of meditation. I do a lot of journaling.
Okay.
So it helps me relieve of all the stress. And then after that, you can be able then to time management is very important. Because I know what I'm doing at 8 a.m. I know what I'm doing after this. You are able to manage your time wisely and you are able to then be able to do all these other things. And it's mostly importantly vision. Yeah. Because if I'm pushing money, I'm sure I'll be pushing finding money somewhere else. Because I'm pushing my vision. This is part of my vision.
Indeed.
It works hand in hand with everything else that I'm doing.
And we are pleased to have your vision inclined with ours as well. Mr. Nati, and you can also share closing remarks, contact details, and we'll wrap this up for Drinks on Me. How do you juggle your priorities and still...
A cell phone that has not been charged cannot make a call.
Not at all.
Yeah, so it's very important that you also recharge a lot. You withdraw from the crowds, and it's not being lazy. It's called self-care. It's also part of your mental health discussion that you had. So where I personally do a lot of that. They could be calling and saying, "Yay, it's happening here," and I will say, "It's happening here." I'm self-caring now. I'm trying to take care of myself and my sanity. I will come later where it's happening, like in a few days' time, because everything has to be. It has to be time managed. You know, you have to allocate. Now it's time for this, time for play, time for work, time for recharging, which is very, very important for young people, that as you're pursuing your goals, also do not be too hard on yourself. Also do give yourself time out to say, okay, now I'm taking time out. I can still chill with my friends for that hour and laugh and joke and ask, is Messi better than Cristiano Ronaldo? But also do not take your eyes off the prize to say, you know, at the end of the day, I do want to be self-employed, or I do want to be employed somewhere. what new skill have I learned this month?
Yeah,
What new
yeah.
book have I read this month? And that is basically my closing remarks. Input will determine your output.
Indeed.
Just keep on edifying yourself. Follow the right people on social media, especially Instagram.
Yeah.
There's a lot of motivational pages. People say self-help books really don't do much for you. I say self-help books do a lot for you because they are virtual mentors. The mentors that you can't get. There are these top CEOs you look up to. They're driving nice cars and you'd really love to have a moment with them for them to actually give you guidance and let you know how they got there.
Yeah.
But by following these your Richard Branson and so on and so forth on your global leadership summit speakers, your Craig Groeschel, for example, a leadership expert. You follow him and he speaks about taking vitamins in the morning, eating healthy before he starts his day, and you're saying, here I am just starting my day and running out there, and whereas I need Leon Dengane, what's our porridge?
Subtitle will be there.
to really have that input so that I can have a great output for the rest of the day.
Alright.
And you're learning from the best leadership experts. These are the people you're following on Twitter. You're not just following on Twitter people telling you about where the latest vibe is.
Yeah.
It's nice to know where the latest vibe is. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, to refresh.
Yeah, to refresh,
Once
but
in a while.
but only as a certain fraction. As a young person, that period between 18 and 35 is a very crucial age, because once you get to 35 and you look back, you cannot regain that time. And you don't want to only have memories of you at the groove.
Yeah.
You also want to have memories of yourself gaining so much skills, such that even at 35, when somebody comes and says there's a job here, you can say, you know what, I once watched Alliance Francaise speaking about youth unemployment. They spoke about the importance of networking. They spoke about the importance of self-leadership. They spoke about self-care. They spoke about the King 4 report. And that is why I believe you should hire me today. And all of a sudden, you have a panel sitting there and they're like, wow.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
Tell me about that. Miss Tole, any remarks in closure?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh my God, time is up already.
Yeah.
Well, to you, young person out there, I just want to say, everything that you do, please begin with the end in mind. I mean, you are powerful. Your future is bright. Just begin with the end in mind, and I'm telling you, you're going to achieve all your dreams.
Yeah.
And well, thank you so much for having us.
It's a pleasure.
It's been a ball.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
How can they get a hold of you and all the amazing programs that you offer?
Oh yeah, all the social media pages. My name is Petha Sitole. You can drop a comment or DM.
Yeah.
I will surely respond. Yes, I will respond.
Yeah.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
here, Nati Gule, on all the social media pages. You can drop a DM.
Yeah.
I'll try my best to respond.
Let's also talk about the book. Let's talk about the amazing
I will respond.
offering that you have for us.
Yeah, I also have a free book that it's a 21-day guide,
Yeah.
just to help you have a positive attitude for those days when you don't feel like waking up and you say, oh God, everything is not working out there. But if you read this book, I believe it will create a habit for you to be positive. Look at the glass half full instead of half empty, and always just wake up with that spring and bounce in your step. How do you find the book? You simply go into the magic is in you. You simply punch under my bio on my social media platform, punch under it. It is for free. It is my gift to you, because we want a generation that has reduced unemployment. And we believe so much in you. We believe that tomorrow you will employ me and better. So we are pouring out all we can to you guys. And you can also reach me on 7603-4267 via WhatsApp. We can start a conversation on the same topic on how we can help you better your skills, because if you are making it out there, we will make it as well, and we will collaborate in future, and we will have an economic activity, no economic inactivity. So yeah.
Well said by the brother man himself. Beautiful people, all the opinions shared here sincerely belong to the panelists. They are not in any way connected to the institution that is Alliance Francaise. Otherwise, it has been an amazing open disclaimer. We definitely need that disclaimer. all the opinions shared belong to these guys, right? And if anything was said by me, they told me to say it behind the scenes. I'm joking. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Open Discussions Season 2 Episode 1 of Season 2. I'm your host, The Silent Writer. Until next time, keep spreading the love and light.